Hello, class, and welcome to week 3 of the semester. This is Professor Jerome Cuson, and I'm going to be running down the assignments, the readings for week 3 of the semester. You've already gone through the first 2 weeks by the time you're listening to this, so hopefully you've gotten into the patterns and the habits that are going to make you successful for the duration of the fall 2021 semester. So one of the things that you have to look forward to as we go through this PowerPoint is just being able to understand the literacy narrative. I mean, that's really what a lot of our focus is going to be on this time around. This is an important week because the first draft of your literacy narrative is due. I really cannot emphasize how important it is to put together a solid 2 to 3 pages. The more you give me this first time around, the better quality of feedback that I can provide to you. So please make sure that you go through this and do your draft and are diligent with it. If you do not turn in at least 2 pages, that's going to be problematic and it's going to significantly hurt that first draft grade. I would recommend looking at the first student example. There are also 2 other student examples posted under week 4, but I did want to get at least 1 posted on week 3 before you do the first draft. And also make sure you look at the rubric so that you know what I'm looking for. Student examples are often the best way to understand what I'm looking for. And people have said in the past that it is ultimately very beneficial to them. Okay, so Sandra Cisneros' only daughter is a professional literacy narrative example. It does not necessarily follow our formatting, but it is really engaging and has a lot of amazing detail. Your discussion board will be in response to this reading. Shitty first drafts will hopefully allow you to get over some of your writer's block concerns. The journal entry asks you to reflect on one of the more popular reading among students. So these are a couple of the readings that you're doing. Again, these are 2 relatively short readings, especially because you are, of course, going to be constructing a first draft of your literacy narrative. So I did not want you to have to stress about doing really long readings this week. So Only Daughter is written by Sandra Cisneros. She is the only daughter. She has 6 brothers, and she feels like this summarizes her experience perfectly. And as you get into the reading, she'll explain why. Cisneros had a very complicated relationship with her father. Her father saw college as a place for her to find a husband and settle into a family, while Cisneros saw college as a place to forge her own path and develop a career as a writer. She continued to chase her father's respect deep into her life and only received validation after being able to have some of her writing translated into Spanish. So a lot of the focus is going to be on Cisneros and the relationship that she has with her father. So in this third discussion board of the semester, you will reflect on Sandra Cisneros' only daughter. This reading is an example of a literacy narrative, and we see her discuss an important literacy sponsor in her life. You can make some implications about some of her other sponsors as well. In your discussion post, reflect on the relationship Cisneros has with her main sponsor. What are the positive aspects? What are some of the limitations? And how does she take advantage of the limitations? Please complete an initial post of 200 to 250 words by Tuesday, September the 7th at 11:59, and then you'll complete your 2 response posts of 100 to 150 words by Friday, September the 10th at 11:59 p.m. So the discussion board is going to be based off of the Cisneros piece, and again, I think this is a very descriptive example, although it's short, of what I'm looking for in this literacy narrative. The other reading that you are doing, Shitty First Drafts, yes, that is the actual title. This is one of the more popular readings that students do. I did include a YouTube video with Lamont discussing some truths about writing that you can watch at your leisure. But there are a couple very strong points that I can make about this piece. So what I like so much about this piece is that Cisneros has a very strong voice throughout. As you can feel her sense of humor and her occasional sarcasm. She believes that the first draft is ultimately for no one except the author. The first draft is kind of regarded as the down draft, as in get it all down on paper, or the child's draft is also something she refers to it as. And part of what she is doing is the reason that you can write a shitty first draft. The reason that you can write a shitty first draft is to emphasize the importance of revision and avoiding procrastination. The only person that should see a first draft of your writing is you as the writer. Otherwise, when you are turning in a draft to me, then that should be a draft down the line, third, fourth, maybe even fifth draft. So that's really, really important as you go through this. So I hope that this reading can be seen as an inspiration to you as you engage with the process. So the assignment that is in connection is the journal entry. For your third journal entry, you will first need to read Anne Lamott's Shitty First Drafts. The third journal entry will allow you to consider the very concept of a first draft. Writer's block is a very real thing for everyone, and it leads to procrastination. Lamott provides readers with a chance to write drafts in such a way that takes off the pressure. In your journal entry this week, discuss how Lamott helps you to rethink first drafts and how this reading may help you in the future. Make sure you write about 3/4 of a page responding to this prompt. The journal must be uploaded by Thursday, September the 9th at 11:59 p.m. So again, you are doing another reading that is strongly connected with the idea of a first draft in this case. So Sandra Cisneros is kind of benefiting you as far as looking at the literacy narrative, and this is hopefully giving you some inspiration for the first draft. When it comes to the rubric, you want to take a look at it. You want to read over it closely. The breakdown of it is very, very interesting here. So the development section is 50% of that overall grade. Now, I'm not using the rubric for the first draft. I'm using the rubric for the final draft. But the development is half of your score. So if you're not writing at least 4 to 5 pages, then you're going to find yourself, quite frankly, in a lot of trouble. You want to develop your ideas. You want to write long paragraphs that have a lot of details. And you want to be as specific as possible in your writing. Now, although it is half of your score, the other half of your score comprises the other 4 components of the rubric, that being organization, which is 20 points. Really what I'm looking at with organization is assessing, did you write this essay in chronological order? Do your paragraphs cover specific topics? Are you clearly organized in your thinking as far as how the paragraphs are organized? Is your introduction and your conclusion meeting up with the standards of what I'm asking for? So that is how I am assessing your organizational skills. For style and vocabulary, when I'm talking about second person usage, when I'm looking at, the word choice, that kind of thing, that's what I'm looking at with style and vocabulary. Sentence structure, fragments, comma splices, run-on sentences, awkward sentences. Want to make sure that you're avoiding those. It is only 10 points, but again, on the literacy narrative, I don't grade on these as hard as I will on the final essay of the semester. But, if you're not reading over your work aloud, then I think you're making a huge mistake. I think as soon as possible, you want to make sure that you are assessing any issues that you're having with grammar and sentence structure. The final section is grammar mechanics and MLA formatting. And this is, verbs, making sure you're staying verb tense consistent, making sure that you're using commas correctly, periods, all that jazz, making sure you're spelling words right, and making sure that you're following MLA formatting. Now, you're not necessarily having to worry about citing a source, but I do want you to be following MLA style for all of these papers. And if you're not doing that on the final draft, then you are going to lose points. So please make sure that you are following the directions and looking at this rubric carefully, because the development is worth a very big chunk. So the most important thing really is that you are developing and organizing your thoughts well. That's not to say that the grammar is unimportant, but I hope that this rubric is reflective of what we talked about with the wrong way to teach grammar, that ultimately when you are completing this paper, it is what you are saying that matters, not as much how. So when you are looking at the student example, there are a lot of really good things that I can say about it. The introduction is an excellent summary of their overall literacy experience. There are lots of excellent details and examples throughout the essay. I do think that there are occasional issues with repetition, particularly in the way that the author starts off multiple sentences in a row with she. So these essays that I'm sending you, yes, they are quality papers, but they are not necessarily perfect. So you want to be mindful of that. I also feel that the organization could have been stronger at the beginning of certain paragraphs as well. I think there are some definite issues with how the person starts some of their paragraphs. Now, when you actually get into writing your literacy narrative, there is a double space, a digital space to upload your first draft of the literacy narrative. There is a Dropbox to put that in. Make sure you do so on time. Please have it uploaded by Friday, September the 10th at 11:59 p.m. Something to keep in mind, that if the final draft, or if the draft is not at least 2 pages, the highest grade it can receive is a C-. There were a number of issues that I had in previous semesters with students not meeting the page count. So I'm going to be a little bit more strict with you all. And your goal should be to try to get as close to 3 pages as possible. But if you're not at least at 2, then you are going to get a C- or lower on that paper. It has to be 2 full pages, not 1.5, not 1 3/4. You must fill up 2 pages. And if there's any doubt in your mind, then write onto the 3rd page, because quite honestly, that's what you should be doing anyway. So that is week 3 in a nutshell. As always, if you have questions or issues, please email me and keep in communication. I'm looking forward to reading over your first drafts and to seeing what you put together. So thank you very much for watching, and make sure that you go and watch the other video that I made this week about literacy sponsors. If you have not done so, I talk pretty extensively about what a literacy sponsor is. Make sure you watch the video in total. Thanks. Bye.